that I have for this session. If you are in the portal, there should be already in the portal a PDF that I uploaded that has all of these resources, but you can also access them directly through the bit.ly link that you see on the screen here. It is bit.ly/SoC Echo AI. So that short link will take you to a document that looks like this. And this is also the PDF that I did upload into the portal. For the convenience of everybody, I'm also just going to pop open the chat and I will drop that into the chat if that is more convenient for anybody as well to get to that bit.ly link that way. But that link, bit.ly/SoC Echo AI, that's going to get you into a document that has all of the resources we're going to be covering in this session. You are absolutely welcome to, make a copy of that document, bookmark it, save it to your drive, do whatever you want with it. Again, a PDF version of that is also in the portal there. So go ahead, feel free to get that pulled up. Again, thank you for the wonderful introduction. Yes, that is correct. I am an educator, actually now 34, just heading to 34th year, my 34th year in education. And I still do work, yes, at the Stark County Educational Service Center as my day job, supporting those schools. And on the side, I do this sort of thing all around the world, providing training for schools and organizations. Yes, I do run the website Control Alt Achieve. There's a link to that at the very top of that document. When you get in there, you'll see it says Eric's Ed Tech Blog, Control Alt Achieve. When you get some time, do check that out. This is what the site looks like. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of blog posts and resources and training videos and help guides and just so much stuff there. I'll just point out two quick things. There's an AI tab on the site. That AI tab has all of my AI resources, so you can go way, way, way deeper than what we're covering here today in those. And the other thing I'll mention really quick is my newsletter tab. The easiest way to stay in the loop probably is just to sign up for my weekly email newsletter. Just send out a simple email that lets you know what's new on the site and cool things I've come across recently. Now, that's all at the top of our document as well. There's the link to my newsletter as well as socials and YouTube and things like that. But anyway, so that's a quick intro as far as me. Outside of ed tech things, I'm also a proud grandpa. Always got to give a shout out to the grandkids and all of my hobbies and interests and things like that. All right. But once again, bit.ly/SoC Echo AI, that will be our resource document we're pulling from. Now, what are we covering in this session? So we've already done the general resources. That was sort of what I mentioned on my blog with my AI resources and things like that. We're going to try to hit three main topics here as quick as possible. AI to support providers, data privacy questions or concerns or thoughts, and then AI to support youth as well. So starting with providers and ending with the youth. Now, we're trying to shoot for like 15 minutes here for this portion. Normally, I'm doing like 3-hour workshops, so this is going to be really, really, really quick. But everything that I am sharing, you can go into much more detail again in that document with all the resources that are there. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get on into this. So, the first thing I want to talk about is AI to support providers. So, you folks. We could talk about dozens of tools, but I'm just going to focus for now, for today, because of the brief time on AI chatbots. Now, when I think of AI chatbots, you probably think of something like ChatGPT. That probably comes to mind really quick. And don't get me wrong, I think it's a great tool. I love ChatGPT. I use it. I think it's fantastic. But I'm going to focus on a different one for our time together today. I'm going to focus on Google Gemini, and I'll explain why as we go through this a little bit more. Google Gemini is Google's version of something like ChatGPT. It is a phenomenal chatbot right up there with ChatGPT as one of the leading AI chatbots that is available. And that's the one I'm going to use for my quick demonstrations here, because what I want to do is talk about how you could turn to a tool like ChatGPT or Google Gemini and put in a prompt to get support in your daily tasks. Now, I've already got Gemini pulled up, so I've got it over here in this tab, so I'm going to be using that as my example. But what we need is we need some prompts. We need something to put in there, you know? And so here's what I've done to try to help at least get us started here today. If you're in the agenda and you scroll on down to that section on AI chatbots for providers, you'll see I've included a spot called prompts. And for today, I did put together a document of sample prompts for youth involved with multiple systems. And so I'm not saying these are the greatest prompts in the world. I'm not saying they're the best ever, but it's a starting point. It's something to kind of give you an idea like, oh, hey, well, that would be, I could put that in. Oh, that's a great idea type of a thing. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this open. So this is the link here, and I would encourage you to do the same. And again, I can copy that link and drop it right into the chat as well, but it is right there in your document. So that link takes you into this document, which is a collection of a couple dozen sample prompts organized by different categories that might give you a starting point, just some ideas. Now, I'm going to grab just a few of these as quick examples. I'm just going to drop them into Gemini and just show what the conversation would look like. So, for example, let's say here's the first one. I'm working with a 15-year-old who's experiencing significant social anxiety at school. Brainstorm 5 low stakes in school activities I could suggest to help them practice social interaction. Well, I could take a prompt like that. I could go over to Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude from Anthropic, or there's so many options, but I'm using Gemini here. And I could just pop that on in there, go ahead and submit it. Give that a moment, and it is going to generate a response for me. Now, of course, you wouldn't have to put that prompt in verbatim. You could take that as a template and fill in your own information. You know, maybe it's not social anxiety, maybe it's something else the student is dealing with. But nevertheless, there we go. Here it generates that response for me. And so I've got 5 brainstormed ideas there. And maybe those are great. If so, fantastic. You're, welcome to then, copy and use those. You'll do see there's a copy button at the bottom of the response. There's also a share button where you can export this directly to a Google document. So you have a copy of it that way. But hey, if it's not what you were looking for, this is a conversation. You can just ask, hey, give me 5 more, or those are great, but can you adjust it in such a way, or hey, I really liked this one. Can you please expand upon that, And so it's a conversation. Other ones, and again, I'm not going to run through every single one of these because obviously we don't have time for that. I was just going to grab a couple of quick ones out of the list here. Let's say we're going to do something like create a one-page handout for parents explaining the concept of emotional co-regulation in simple, easy to understand language with 3 to 4 practical tips. Pop over to Gemini, start up a new conversation here. We'll go ahead and drop that in, and let's see what we get there. Here we go. And once again, generating our response here, giving us the goal, what it is, what it's not, some practical tips that could be shared. You get the idea. Now, again, I'm not going to go through all of these, just going to mention a couple other ones that might be interesting. Maybe something like, hey, I need to facilitate a meeting between a school teacher, a parent, and a behavioral therapist. Do a list of key questions that would ensure everybody's aligned to support the plan. Or how about this? Maybe you need a little role-playing practice here. We could tell the AI, act as a skeptical teenager who doesn't believe therapy can help. Yeah, I will try to build a rapport with you. Respond with short, resistant answers, and so the AI could actually be a sounding board in that case. Other things, maybe we want to do some PD, so maybe summarize the core principles of trauma-informed care with 5 bullet points. On and on and on down the line. You get the idea. There are so many possibilities here that we could use. Maybe we're trying to curate resources. I'm looking for a book to recommend to a parent of a newly diagnosed child with ADHD. The parent wants something that's practical, hopeful, and not overly clinical. Provide 3 suggestions with brief summaries. Now, these are just ideas to get you started. You're absolutely welcome to copy, paste, modify, use any of those. If it's just, something that kind of gets you thinking, wow, hey, I never thought about that. That would be something I could ask an AI tool. And the AI is going to serve as your sounding board. Again, AI is your assistant. I think that's a really important thing. I always want to emphasize AI is not here to do your job. AI is here to help you do your job better. It is not a replacement for you as a human. It is a sounding board, a thought partner, an assistant to help you either generate content or adjust content or brainstorm, things like that. Now, if you want to go further beyond the ones that I threw into that group. There are a few other resources I have here. I'm not going to go into those right now because of time, but I do have a link, Eric's big list of AI prompts. So this one takes you to a whole lot more prompts. These are organized into lots of different categories, like by grade level, excuse me, by subjects, by purposes, and things like that. So I do have a whole lot more there, and I do run a website called edugems.ai. This is a collection of dozens and dozens of pre-made Gemini prompts that you can use for a wide range of resources, or wide range of tasks. Sorry. All right. With that said, another thing that I want to pause for a moment, though, to talk about, since we've just been dumping a bunch of stuff into Gemini, is data privacy, because that may be a question that comes up really quick. You may say, well, Eric, I love what you're sharing here. This sounds great, but I get a little nervous. What actually can I put in here? What if I want to put something in and it starts to, describe the student a little too much? How much can I put in? Can I include names? What can and can't I put into AI? Well, if you are thinking that, I'm glad you are, because yes, we do have an obligation not to share. Um, Personal identifiable information, PII. So when we're dealing with students, we do not want to share outside of for example, the school system that that student is in, things like education records, health information, financial, behavior, photos, videos, communication logs, things like that. That all falls under PII, and we are not to put, because here's the thing. If I go to something like ChatGPT and I put content like that in there, they are allowed to do whatever they want with it. They're very clear about that. I'm not saying that as anything against them. That's just the reality of it. Anything you put into ChatGPT, they can sell it to advertisers. They can train future models. They can share it with other people. They can read it. They can do whatever they want with it. And so that is a serious concern if we're dealing with student information. So normally our approach is, well, make sure you anonymize the data, remove anything that identifies the student, generalize the information, be more hypothetical. I will say though, and this is why I mentioned Gemini earlier, if if you have a Gemini, a Google account that is provided through an educational institution, this is a special case. So it turns out Google has a special agreement when anybody is using Google Workspace for education. So this would be any sort of
By an
nope.
educational
My phone just heard me talking, and so it tried to answer. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know if you heard that in the background. It does that now and then. So if you are using a Google account from an educational institution, it is covered under Google's agreement with that school or that educational institution, and that includes built-in for free, robust data privacy protections. Basically, here's the way it works. Anything you put into Gemini, does not matter what it is, no human at Google can review it. They cannot use it for advertising. They will not train future models on it, and it cannot be shared with anybody outside of that school's institution. It is COPPA, FERPA, HIPAA compliant. Basically, it's the same as saving something to your Google Drive. So if you feel safe saving something in your Drive, it is no different than putting it in Gemini. Now, again, this is only, and again, my phone is still hearing me in the background. Sorry, guys. And again, that is only for education accounts. So basically, what I'm saying here is this, folks. If you look in Gemini and there's a little shield inside of your prompt box, that's how you know, oh, I've got an educational account and it is data privacy protected. If you don't see that little shield in the prompt box, then you're logged into maybe a personal Gmail account, or you're using, some other account from some other organization. It does not have the built-in data privacy. So look for the shield. If the shield is there, you are in good shape, which means you can include content that would normally be considered PII. You can also upload files. Maybe you have a report on a student. Maybe there's a test that was done on that, an evaluation. You can upload those things. They are all completely protected under Google's agreement with that educational institution. All right. With all of that said, the third and final thing I'm going to mention here today, and then we're going to throw this open for questions from you guys. And again, apologies for how quickly we're going through all of this, but the final thing to mention is what about our kids? What about the youth themselves? Well, now technically they can use Gemini and ChatGPT. Definitely 13 and above can with Google Gemini. If it's a school account, all ages are allowed to use it, but that's not what I'm talking about here because a lot of schools may not turn that on for their students. What I want to mention really quick is a different kind of AI tool that is designed specifically for working with youth. And this would be tools like School AI or Magic School AI or Brisk Teaching. All three of these fit the category. I'm going to demonstrate School AI just because it's very simple to show, but all of these do this. And if later on you want to learn more about any of them, scroll down below. We just did the data privacy section. Scroll down below to the final one, and here is information on School AI, Magic School, and Brisk, and I go into detail on each one of those. So, what is this? Basically, here's the idea. What if you were able to provide for your students a 24/7 AI chatbot that could be a support to them? Maybe they need some tutoring help. Maybe they just need to be able to vent and connect with, with somebody and they don't have that opportunity otherwise. Now, obviously, your and other people, many other folks are their first line of defense. That's who they should be going to. But what if? What if there's nobody for them to get in touch with at that moment? It's the evening, it's the weekend, it's a situation where they don't have that. Well, we can now use tools like School AI to build custom chatbots that follow our directions. We give them directions as to how we want them to behave, and then we give the students a link. The students click the link and then they can have a conversation with that chatbot. And the beauty of it is it records everything for you. So everything the student types in, everything the AI responds, you get insight into, well, what are the students asking about? What are they struggling with? What are their interests or whatever's going on with them? You get insight and the students get 24/7 support. So for example, I'll just click on one in here. You can click on any of these, but I'm going to click on the science tutor. Maybe we're wanting to provide some additional tutoring for students who may be struggling, and we just want them to know, hey, listen, if you need some help, here's a 24/7 AI science tutor that could help you. Well, I'm going to click on the link for that one. And this is from School AI. And basically just ask me to type in my name. So I'll just put in my name here and I'll join the space. And I will not go into any great detail other than to show you very quickly what happens. Basically, the AI greets us. Hey, I'm Sam. What grade are you in? So maybe I'm in seventh grade. So I'll put in seven. And then it'll start asking me, okay, so what are you learning about? And I may say something like, plant cells. And this is designed not to do their work for them. It's not going to write a paper for them. It's going to engage them in a conversation and say, oh, well, tell me, what do you know about plant cells? Is there something you'd like to learn? It's going to meet every single student where they are at. If they're struggling, it's going to help re-explain things. If they're doing great, it's going to help them go deeper. At any point, it can read things aloud. There's a speak button where it'll read aloud to them. There's also a microphone button if the student is not a great typist, so they can. There's also a translation option. We can turn this entire conversation into any other language that we want here, and that way we can support English language learners as well. So the beauty of all of that, though, is it's all getting recorded. So I'll pull over my teacher screen here. So this is my teacher screen. This is School AI. This is where I can go in to set up things like, tutors and other sort of AI chatbots. And then here's a sample result. So this is one where I had 35 participants talking with Sam, the science tutor. Do not worry, these are not students. This is from a professional development session. These are all adults here. There are no real students in this list here. But basically what I can do is I can go in and see summaries of how the students are doing. And I can go down here and find Eric C. That's me and click on my student and read the entire conversation. I can see every single thing the student typed and everything the AI responded. So there are tools like that, and that is really exciting that we now have these sort of tools that, again, are school safe, student friendly, that can help provide support to our students in many ways. All right, guys. So that's it. I know that was way too quick, but those are the three things I wanted to share with you today. Some quick ideas on how AI can support providers through a tool like Gemini or ChatGPT. Little conversation on data privacy and how tools like Gemini can provide that for you. And then lastly, some newer tools that can help support students directly like School AI. So with that said, let's go ahead and pause there, and I'm happy to take any questions.